Clock says 11, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. Welcome to the meeting. We're going to just start off with the permission project. We have actually, Equinox has updated the permissions for circulators and circulation administrators on the test server. So every library is encouraged to test permissions on both of those CERC categories so that we make sure everything is working how we anticipate that it's going to work. We think we've got it how we want it, but we thought that testing might be a good idea before we went live on the production server. So I've included on your agenda the items that were added and taken out. Obviously, we don't have to test the ones that were taken out, but just more for your information, what was added and what was taken out. So if you test these things and something comes up and doesn't respond the way that you think it should, let me know so that I can work with Equinox to get it how we really want it to be. Like I said, I think we're where we want it to be, but we want to be sure before we move it over to the production server. Questions on that? Okay, great. I want to share this. We'll just move on down here. Best practices guidelines for customer service for patrons from other MEC libraries. So I included it all because the committee worked on this over the month. But if there is anything that that the libraries in general thinks need to be tweaked or changed before we actually move it into the best practices, I wanted to just put it out there. One more look over. We've gone over it multiple times in the committee, but again, it's one of those things that we want libraries to be aware of, and if there's any concerns, that we can address those concerns before it gets moved into the document. So that new best practice section is at the end of your agenda. So if you didn't make it all the way through that, take some time, go through that. Is there any comments on that section, just even right now? Doesn't sound like it. If you have not read through it and you have a question or an issue, make sure to contact me and I'll try and follow up with you to make sure all the libraries are on the same page. Okay, let me stop sharing. The next thing on the list is changes to patron identification types. And I'm going to let Macy talk about this because it happened at her library and I want people to be aware just in case it's a broader thing that's happening and we just don't know that it's broader yet. So.
Good morning. Okay, so I had one of my staff members bring up to me a few weeks ago saying that she was noticing the patron identification type field was being changed to other, even though she was the one that signed those patrons up. And there's no other information included in that. So we do use the other field. Or the other option, but typically we add in another piece of information. So this is for patrons that don't have their current address on their ID. We'll put in other and then piece of mail or utility bill, something along those lines. It didn't have any of this information. last week, our Herman branch is reopened, just FYI. And so you guys might start getting holds from Herman again. I was running through those accounts, switching their home libraries back to Herman, and I found 33 accounts that had other listed as their primary identification type instead of driver's license, and then there's no other additional information in there. I've also noticed that with minor accounts, that the information has moved down a line. So instead of putting in parent guardian under parent guardian, it's in secondary identification. So I asked Equinox about this, and the response was that a lot of these accounts that I gave them were pre-migration. So some of these accounts were created in 1995. The thing is, I'm really meticulous, and it could be, we miss things, of course we do, but I'm really meticulous about making sure these accounts have all of that information in there. I'm not calling these patrons again and asking them to verify. I'm assuming that they had their driver's license at the time and we wouldn't have listed it as other. And I just changed all of these accounts back in May. So I would think that I would catch that. Again, I could have missed it, but 33 accounts, that seems crazy. And I did it all in a matter of days. So they said that Stephen told me that they're investigating and it could be a part of a privacy project that the consortium did early on. I don't know why it's impacting us. I don't know if it's impacting anybody else, but I have seen it a lot, especially the last few weeks. So,
So the only thing that came to my mind when you first mentioned this was
hmm
when we first joined, before we joined, we actually put in a patron's account a driver's license number. And then there were even, I remember when I first worked at the library, they required a social security number to get a library card. Yeah. So when we switched to Missouri Evergreen and everything else that's happened politically and what have you since, what concerning privacy and security and fraud and all of that, we had to make sure that those numbers were removed every time we opened an account that was before, like you say, it was around 1995. Those
hmm
numbers were in there. So I got the staff in the habit of delete, delete, delete. You see that number, wipe it out, delete it and
As
save
far
it.
as I know, we never required anything like that. We
I'm
never
wondering if they're
required
working
driver's
on,
license
I'm
or
wondering if like you said, that
privacy
process,
project.
yeah, the project is kind of hit you somehow with the before the migration.
See, and if it was all pre-migration accounts, I would understand. I'm like, this is just a weird migration thing that we just haven't seen or,
Okay, and it's others too.
paid attention to. But I saw some as recent as 2023 that had this information. And I've
Okay.
had a staff member, she came to me the other day. She was like, it happened. I registered this patron 2 weeks ago and now it's showing up as other. And I said, do you remember the patron? She said, no. And I was like, okay, well, I need their information to
Right.
send it to Equinox. So um, it could just be an us thing. I like to chalk everything up to it's just a me problem, and hopefully not everybody else is experiencing it.
Right.
But I mean, I did encounter 33 accounts, and that was just from one branch.
So is it always in primary?
Yeah, it's the primary identification type.
And do you ever use the secondary identification type field at all? Okay.
No,
So we use secondary for two things. One, for our reciprocal arrangement with a certain county that we have an arrangement with, and we have to put their library, part of their library card number in the deal. And it's called other and then McDonald County card
right?
number. The other thing we use secondary for is when they sign the parental consent form, we put the word yes in there,
Gotcha.
and that shows us that it's there. I don't know. I feel like I like your idea that this committee that's working on something might be triggering something somehow. That seems, I know it's just you right now, but look how many are we on this meeting? And there's
Well, we
almost
may just
85
not
of
have
us.
realized what
Right,
was
Yes,
happening is
exactly.
you have to
Exactly.
right.
hit the right patron to see that that was that there was an issue, or didn't
And
pay that close attention, going
Yeah.
down, unless you were renewing somebody's card, would you even be looking at all of those
Especially the way
fields?
circ staff turnover is, I mean, I'm sure it's the same everywhere. It's pretty constant new people working the desk. And they're not gonna notice that like you would, Macy, for sure, you know?
I wouldn't have noticed this if I didn't have a staff member saying, I keep noticing this. And I'm like, well, you're the only one saying it. So maybe, you have to take everything with a grain of salt sometimes because people have so many issues. So I was like, until I see it, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then so I had that in the back of my mind, and I just happened to be going through all of these accounts, and I was like, okay, I know that we didn't, I mean, and it's all one branch. And I
Yeah.
don't, and it's happening at all branches, but I just happened to find 33 in one day. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is crazy. This is something bigger, I think.
Mhm.
And we've updated it how many times without
Great.
realizing that there's nothing in that field.
Mhm. Saying,
Heather
okay.
might be worth a recurring report to pull the patrons whose
Tracy
ID.
says she's seeing it at her branch.
I just checked my own account and also see that my primary ID now says other primary ID is blank. And then what I think used to be in primary ID is listed in secondary ID. Macy, is
Yes,
that what you were saying for
yes,
minor?
like things
I'm
are
gonna,
getting moved down.
did you check the training server? I'm gonna check there now to
I
see if
have not,
it's
I have
visible
not.
there. Because if it is a migration error for us, like we still have all of our data, like we still have the original data that we imported. So I'd be able to see that. Okay, I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
the
And
training
like,
server.
and what's crazy is that I've noticed this on patrons that are like regulars, that are, we know them by name and we know, like, we would have seen something like that. We would have caught that. And for years, like, before I came to this position, I was here for almost a decade, and we always put piece of mail if we listed other as primary identification type, since we migrated. So, um, I'm glad you guys are seeing this and it's not just us. I really don't know. And I have been looking at the last update date for the account. I haven't ran a report for it, but I've looked at that because I'm like, well, maybe this was recently updated, and these are ones that either were recently updated or have not yet expired. So,
I do see it
and
in the training server, and that data pull is from January, I
uh-huh.
believe. Um, so I'm not sure what that means exactly.
So you're seeing other in there too?
I am in the training server.
How did we not? Okay. Now, Stephen has not gotten back to me about this. Um, let's see. He said, I can see those that are marked as other. However, they look to have been that way since at least 2023, which is crazy because a lot of these accounts are from, 2012 and before. Not all of them. Some of them are newer accounts. So,
Well, I just looked up 5 people I know for 100% fact that said driver's license. They all say other.
okay.
So,
Weird.
Yeah.
Macy, kind of if you would update, did you say Stephen
Yeah.
Calendar is the one working on it?
Yeah.
If you would update him and let him know that multiple libraries are seeing this, it's not, we know for a fact it's multiple libraries, because it sounds like something that's gone on perhaps there. I know several years ago, Equinox went through and took out, um, numbers that were in the, sequence of
Mhm.
like what would be your social security
Right.
number or driver's
Right.
license number. But
Yep.
that was multiple years ago that
Yeah.
they did
Right.
that. So I don't
Okay.
think it's not connected with that in particular, but something is going on to where it's
Okay.
changing
Well,
patron
there's a
records.
lot of patrons, or there's a lot of us in the chat talking of having the same experience. So this is definitely a thing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do what Heather said and run a report to see how many people. He did tell me actually for one library had 1,127 patrons listed as other, which might be totally normal if there's additional information in there. I'm a crazy person and I run through new accounts every month. And if anything looks suspicious, I go in there and I double check it. Sometimes that's like 700 accounts. That's like a Friday afternoon job when I don't want to work on a big project. It's a mindless task. So, um, well,
Well,
I hate
Macy,
to say that I'm glad you guys are experiencing it.
you're not the only one. Let's share the joy.
Yay.
Macy, if you would keep following up with that, since you already have a help ticket going
Sure.
on
Yep.
that, and if you would just kind of keep us apprised of where they are in that
Sure.
process. I don't know what they would do to fix it, but oh, well,
I don't,
that's a problem for another day, but I mean,
yeah.
still,
I
what?
think it would just be something we'd have to look out for because I don't know how they would change it. And then I don't want them to go in and change everybody to driver's
Well,
license, right?
no,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
you can't just assume that.
And in my account, no information was removed. It was just put into a
Put
different
In the
field
down.
than
wrong
I think
field,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what
that
I'm seeing with the minor accounts is that all of the information, and we put parent name and parent guardian ever since the Secretary of State rule. I mean, we made all the accounts expired. Patrons had to come in and get new cards and put their
Yeah.
names on the children's accounts, and
Mm.
all of that information is moved.
Hmm.
Not every single account, but some of them.
That's what's so weird.
Yeah,
It would make more sense if it was everybody. What is what's triggering it to happen on these accounts? So,
right.
okay, well,
Yeah.
And
Can I ask? I mean, what if there was something in that spot where it got moved to? You know what I'm saying? I mean, something might be gone now that was in that spot. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like moving things from one section to another has no other implication, right? There might have been something in that
exactly.
that's been
yeah,
replaced.
yep.
And
And
yeah,
that information's gone. Well, I mean, and if we marked other, again, I mean, we could have missed things. We would have put piece of mail in there, and
right,
that's gone.
right,
So,
right.
yeah, there might be missing information for sure.
And what about any of the other fields? I mean, you notice this one, but what other fields are there that we could check to make sure that nothing's been moved?
I was checking, so after I started seeing this happening a lot, it was like every single account I went to. I started looking at everything else. Everything else seems fine, like address, holds, like the user settings and stuff. Granted, I don't know what it was before, but nothing seemed off there. The names weren't moved around, nothing like that. It was just the primary identification, like those parent guardian, primary identification type, secondary identification, all of those in the middle.
Hey, Macy, did you see Darcy's comment in the chat? That might be um, I don't,
Oh, the evergreen, like, yeah, I could.
I don't remember seeing that, but I didn't see the release notes for the last, update.
I'm not sure they were included. I
I
remember
don't think they
marking that
were
email
either.
to try to go and find them, and I don't think they were on there.
Yeah.
But that's another one of those things. If it was in a release note and it happened to everything, then that's perfectly explainable, right? But if you do an update and it only does 30 of, Macy's one branch, then that can't be the issue, right?
Right,
Right,
Unless
right.
it's targeting something, but
Well,
anything that
something,
had
yeah.
driver's license or anything, that's in there a million different ways.
right.
Well, I'd like to get to the bottom of it, just so that we are aware of what is going on, and then if we want to, I don't know if we can go in and fix it ourselves and keep it if we go back and retro it and put it back how it was, will it stay that way? I mean, I guess that's my other question, or is it going to, you know, the next update, it reverts back
Right,
to
it's gonna
whatever
revert.
this new thing is, so.
I will keep everybody updated. And hopefully we can resolve it.
Or at least we know what the new normal is. I'm just like, oh my word.
Let's see.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Goodness. All right. I think it was back in June or July. I asked the CERC committee people to take a look at documents in the CERC training dropdown for changes that need to be made. So did any of you remember to do that? And if not, we need to get it done. I know the patron purging project that we do every year, the instructions are still correct, but the illustrations, you know, the screenshots, the reports have changed. And so it looks, while you don't have to change everything, we need to change a few things. So things like that. Did anybody else find things of you that said they were going to look?
I completely forgot about it, to be 100% honest. So there's that.
I'm not surprised. It's like in the whole scheme of life, that seems like fairly far down the list of
Well,
what
we're
your
in
daily
the
tasks.
admin manual in the other committee, so I just have been really focused on that one.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so committee, we got to get going on that because by October, we're going to be reminding people of the purge project so that, you know, they aren't down till the end of the year before we're reminding them about it. Because sometimes it takes a bit of time to get it, you know, you got to kind of work it into your schedule to get that done. So, part of, I'm just going to skip down to in other, it says committee working session, selection of a date and time. I would like to do that now. And what I'd like to have done by that date is at least a list and maybe partially having already worked through some of the, you know, some of those documents that need to be updated. Also, just to have time to chat. Among the committee for any kind of concerns or ideas that we have. So it would kind of be a working session, but what kind of days work for most of you?
Tuesdays are good for me typically. Tuesdays and Thursdays are
Okay,
good for me. And I'm now we moved offices at our building. Carrie, our lovely director, is now across the street in our annex, and I'm back in her office. So now I can actually work without my door being open into the circulation department all the time. So, and today's my first day here in this office. So I think I will be a more productive member of this group. So
woo-hoo.
yeah, woohoo, I'm excited. I don't have to hear the phone ring. Oh,
Okay,
It's
so what
whatever.
about September 2nd? It would be the day that we come back after, I'm assuming most of you have Labor Day off, but what about the 2nd?
I have a lot of staff off that day.
Okay, so not,
So there's a chance I might not be able to, I don't know where I might be that day.
I'm
Okay.
fully
Ninth.
booked that day too.
okay.
Yeah. The 9th is pretty open for me.
I am in Yellowstone. So I am not going to be zooming in. I love you all, but I don't love you that much.
What about Thursday the 4th?
Uh,
I will not be here that day.
Okay.
okay. How about the 16th?
16th's good for me.
I can do the morning that day.
I think there's supposed to be an RFI. I think there's supposed to be an RFID meeting maybe that day at
9:30. Oh, I have 9:30.
9:30, 9:30.
So
I
11.
can't do that day. I'm
Oh, geez.
scheduled. I'm scheduled at the desk. Talk to my boss. I think we have like 5 people. Actually, my boss won't be here, but I think we have like 5 people gone that day. And so
Oh,
I
my.
am
That's
scheduled
how
at the
my
desk. Woohoo!
Okay, we're moving to the 18th. That's a Thursday.
I'm good.
I can't do that day either. I'm sorry.
Even if we could just get a critical mass,
Yes,
even like
for
4 or 5 people,
Right.
I think would
And
be
I
able
can do a
to.
Wednesday. Are Wednesdays bad for anybody?
We can do
Wednesdays at
Wednesdays.
10. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
how
can-
about Wednesday the 3rd?
I could do that.
I can do that.
I can do that one.
Woo, that might be
Morning.
success.
Yeah, morning would be better if
Yeah,
possible.
morning is
Okay.
best.
Okay, so why don't we say Wednesday the 3rd at 10? I will send you a Zoom. Is that
Or
okay?
even 9:30. Could we do
9:30?
Can anybody do that?
9:30?
I
Okay.
can do 9:30.
Because I have a 12 o'clock and I just feel like I want to have a minute.
Okay. I will send you all a Zoom link so that
Okay.
we can get moving on that. Okay, another question that has come in to me is how many of you do credit card payments at the desk, at your circ desk? So I see a couple. The question is, what's your workflow? How does that work?
So in Neo Show, if you want to pay for something at the desk, device that we have to create hasn't been created. Let's say they're buying a new library card or something like that. But if it's on their account or in their Evergreen account, but regardless, there has to be a bill in Evergreen. And then we take the device, we key in the information, put their card in and put the $10, and then we run it through externally. The little pop-up comes up and you choose internally or externally running this card. We choose external, run the card. It gives us its own receipt. Then we turn around and with the authorization code, we go back into Evergreen and tell credit card. It pops up with a form that has to have an authorization code. Put that in, the amount, and it gives another receipt through Evergreen to clear it through Evergreen.
So
It
it's
sounds a
that-
lot. It's not. It takes 2 seconds. It's really fast.
Right, it's a card reader process and then go back to Evergreen.
Evergreen. Yes, it's a
process.
separate whole deal. Like you could run a credit card and it not go through Evergreen at all. If like
Okay.
our print station, for instance, we take money at the print station that doesn't go through Evergreen.
Okay.
It's the same.
Nancy, what
idea.
about you?
So we process our payment through Evergreen. So we only do it with certain kinds of bills, so like lost, damaged, on the patron's accounts. And then we have a walk-in account that we do passport fees for. And we take credit cards and we have to manually enter in everything. We do not have a credit card reader.
Okay. Was it Kirkwood that said they do too?
I don't believe Kirkwood accepts credit cards at the
Okay.
circulation desk, although Courtney can correct me. I know that Ferguson does, and I don't see anyone here from Ferguson, so I can say that I believe their process is that they have an iPad at the desk. It actually connects to the URL that we use for our PAC payments. So if a patron comes up and says they'd like to pay, we input the barcode into that URL, and then they turn it around for the patron. The patron can enter in their own card information, and then the payment goes through immediately. So it's like integrated, but really it's the patron paying themselves through the method that we use to pay on PAC. I think some of the other MLC libraries do accept credit cards, but they're not integrated. So it would be like taking Square and then telling Evergreen, this patron has paid.
Okay.
If we do take credit cards at the desk, we go through the pack.
Okay. So Belinda said something about you do it through Missouri Evergreen. How does that work?
Yeah, so can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can pay on the patron account and you can just change it to credit card, When you change it to credit card and you put in the amount, so say I have a bill for $5. You can go to my account, you can go to my bills, you can go to pay bill and tell it that you're going to do $5 by credit card, and we have a card swipe. And so it will pull up when you hit that apply payment for the $5, it's going to pull up a screen that says credit card. It's going to ask you to put in the number. We do have a card swipe that takes that information, but we also have to have their that 3-digit code, or no, actually it's the expiration dates we have to have. And that's done all through Evergreen. And if it's something like copies or prints of the desk, or somebody else mentioned passports, we have basically like a walk-in account that everybody uses, that it's $35 for a passport execution fee. And again, it all goes through Evergreen and it runs straight through there. But we have PayPal set up. And so it goes through Evergreen, but the credit card goes through PayPal. And so that is how that works for us. But the last time someone asked me to help them, we actually found out the way we are set up on PayPal is legacy, and they don't do that anymore. So I cannot help you with that. But it works really well for us. And I think several people have basically gone through doing the same thing as Square.
Yeah, that's the issue we ran into with PayPal.
I did ask Equinox at request of Macy about legacy.
Yes.
And right now, they're not sure how they would go about fixing that. But they're wanting you to go to the new system. I don't know.
Okay. Well, just because there's been a couple of libraries wanting to know, is there something that's integrated with Missouri Evergreen to where you don't have to do kind of like what you're doing at Neosho, one process here and then another process, even though it's still pretty quick, it's still 2 processes that you have to do, which anytime there's 2 processes, it seems like it adds in more room for error.
Colleen, I have a question. So is Equinox wanting us to try something else? Oh,
Colleen,
you're
we can't hear
muted.
you.
Oh,
Colleen, you're muted.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry about that.
you're good.
We kind of, whenever I mentioned it to Felicia at our biweekly meeting, she was gonna pass it on to, I think you've been dealing with Steve on this one, Stephen, or who have you been dealing with on this?
I talked to Galen about it,
Okay, it was
and
Galen, okay.
yeah.
She said she would get back with him, but she thought that those of you that are on Legacy may have to come up with something different. And that is what she told me, but Galen had not confirmed it yet.
Okay.
Well, and because Jason Boyer told me that Envisionware had a system that was integrated, but I don't know. I was going to see if anybody was using that to know. I was it's integrated with our OPAC Aspen, you can pay through there. And I just was unsure whether we're really talking apples to apples here. So
The MLC libraries do use Envisionware, and we use Envisionware for our Aspen payments. I'm not aware of any option to integrate it with Evergreen Client, and I think one of our directors put a lot of effort into trying to figure that out and did not have success. So that is curious.
okay, well, maybe it's one of those big wish list things. It would be nice to have. Okay, then this morning, there's always something on the Tuesday morning that we come in and have the circulation committee meeting. There's some kind of email going back and forth. So Heather and Colleen were talking back and forth about what is going on with some of our SMS messages. And one of the things that we found out was if you unclick SMS, it is not going to send a hold, the person gets a hold, it's not going to send them that message. But if you have left the phone number in the phone number field, it will continue to send them all the rest of the messages, like it's time to renew your card, your thing might have auto renewed, all of those types of things. So there was some discussion about, what we do about that. But I guess in the interim, my thought is if your patron has opted out, take out SMS and the phone number so
Mhm.
they won't get anything.
Yeah.
The problem is was it the wrong destination? Was that invalid destination?
Invalid
Yeah,
destination
carrier
address.
rejected for invalid destination. Some of those are legit. We put in a landline and the patron wanted text but doesn't get text because it's a
Right.
landline. And according to Heather's analysis, about 50% of the ones she was looking at were that way. Some of the others, they may or may not have a valid phone number in the SMS phone number, but they have the whole box unchecked. So we were wondering, was Missouri Evergreen CERT people aware that if it's an invalid number, you can't just uncheck that box. You have to delete that message. Otherwise, all your courtesy messages are going to invalid destination.
You have to delete the number out of there.
The
You
phone
have to
number.
delete the
Yeah.
number out of it.
Yeah.
There is a change that they can make. And this is up to you guys how you want to do this, because this is something we just kind of found out yesterday. They can make the box, checking the whole notification box, not send out any. So if you have like a patron who is toward the end of the month, it's a valid phone number, but they pay for a limited amount of data, which I know happened to one of the patrons. It's the end of the month, they no longer have data, but that phone number is valid. So you could actually leave that number in there and just uncheck the hold notification box. And it would stop all notifications if we made that change. I did ask Galen this morning, and I didn't have a chance to email you guys back for this meeting. I did ask Galen, is there a reason why it was set up that way, where that box is just for hold notifications? Would it hurt anything else? And he said it was just the way at the time people weren't sending out notifications like that. And so he said if Evergreen never developed again, that would just be a notifications box instead of a hold notifications box. We can kind of turn it into that if you guys so desire, or if you want to, just make sure you if you want to stop all notifications, make sure that there's no number in that whole notification, in the notifications box. It's entirely up to you guys how you want to deal with it. But I know because I hadn't dealt with it much, wasn't my job to deal with that so much whenever I was at work. That I actually thought if you unchecked the whole that box, it would not send out any notifications at all, and that is incorrect.
The MLC libraries, I think, are generally aware of this because we were surprised by it when we first got started. I think it is wise for us to promote the practice of always removing the SMS number if you uncheck the box, and to remove the phone number if you uncheck the phone box. My concern with the change that Galen suggested, I actually like it in general, but my concern is that if we uncheck it for email, it's going to have different behavior than if we uncheck it for SMS. So if we uncheck it for SMS, then no SMS will be sent for any hold notice. But if we uncheck it for email, we won't send hold notices via email, but we will still send all the other notices via email. And I worry about having to explain. I mean, that will be the kind of thing that we sort of have to explain over and over again. So I like the change. I worry about the inconsistency.
Understand that.
Is email the same way? If you uncheck email and leave the email address in there? Will it can, you
It
know,
will send out, it will
it's
send out
exactly the same
notification.
behavior. Okay, I see. Yep.
We would have to, if we change that, it would change it all the way across the board, I believe. That if we unchecked email, it would no longer send out email overdue notices.
If that
And
was the
so-
case, to where they were the same,
If they're
then
the same, and I think, because like I said, this is so new, it kind of happened yesterday afternoon. Heather, unfortunately, one of your libraries was one of the 4 I tested that had the check mark for holds and the name, the phone number in there. Sorry. But is it just a matter of re-education? Do we just re-educate our staff and don't change anything? Or do we make a change that, they act the same? And that is entirely up to you guys, and it may not be something you want to decide today. Don't. As a matter of fact, I suggest you give it some time, think about it, think about the ramifications of making all those changes, and or just re-education.
so why don't we add this to what we're going to talk about on the 3rd? So that you have time to kind of think through, maybe talk with anybody that you want to talk with, get other opinions on that, and then come back and let's come up with a recommendation when we meet again by that, at that Zoom meeting. Does that seem good? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I think that gets us to the end of what is on the agenda. Is there anything else that somebody would like to bring to the committee? Okay, not hearing anything. I'm gonna say, oh, Macy's waving.
I'm sorry, I've talked so
That's
much.
okay.
Okay, so I just had some I guess concerns about Mala right now, and I was wondering if anyone else was experiencing really, really low numbers of totes and boxes. Typically, we get like 16 to 20. There's some days where we get 1. And I have been in talks with Katrina about this. And I don't know if it's ever since Capital Express has acquired the courier service. If these things have changed, I know they were rerouting their routes and stuff, but our time before was 10:30, and now sometimes we don't get it until 1 o'clock, sometimes even after 1 o'clock. And I just didn't know if this was something we were just experiencing or if this is something everyone's experiencing. It seems like the St. Louis hub is having some issues, especially.
Kansas City did for a while. It's maybe kind of
Right.
starting to settle down, but I mean, I sent out a list of 55 items coming to Cass County from the St. Louis hub that are
Yeah.
just in the air somewhere. Nobody knows where they are. So I know that's, I mean, and that's just Cass County's little
Right.
piece of the pie. So I don't know about any of the other hubs though.
I
go
mean,
through
we
spurts.
go through spurts, okay.
Yeah, in Web City, we're the Joplin hub, and we will do good for weeks. I know Darcy can probably attest to this. It goes great, and then it goes to hell. So,
Yep, it sure
Pretty
does.
much.
and you
Um,
don't, and we can have the same driver. I don't know what happens. There's just a disconnect. Just like I had to file a complaint because he didn't show up at all yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So
Cass County has
Ours have
had
just got,
multiple missed days and,
yeah.
or they'll come at 9 in the morning and take stuff, but not bring anything. And then they'll come at 2:30 in the afternoon again
Oh,
and bring
wow.
us stuff. So it's like, it makes no sense to me, but Katrina and I are on a first name basis now because of
I know, and
So-
typically I don't even deal with that side of things. Our delivery person has a separate manager from me, but I'm like, well, this is a circulation issue. So ultimately I want to figure out what's going on, and it's getting later and later. And I was told by the courier driver that there's one guy sorting the things at St. Louis Hub, and I was like, that seems like bad business. But I mean, what I don't know what we can do and what Mala can do other than ask them, hey, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
And
our
I saw-
driver told us that the Columbia warehouse, they're not sorted when he needs to leave at 5 o'clock or 5:15 in the morning. Nothing sorted. So he's been here several times with nothing because they weren't ready for him to pick up. So I feel like it's a warehouse issue and maybe not a driver issue for our
Right.
in our
yes,
use.
I agree. Yeah.
So
would
those,
say-
most of
oh.
those items that we were talking about from the St. Louis hub, the day they were scanned at the library was like 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, mostly the 11th and 12th, but you know, kind of right in that range. And there were a few from the, I don't know, 4th and 5th, kind of all right there when that, in that, you know, close group of days there. So you may, if you check your transit list, you may have things that are, I mean, because I was just shocked when I had such a huge number. Usually, I mean, always, you know, when I check the transit list, usually there's some, but not like this. So,
That are that old. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, we've experienced an influx, and I was like, well, maybe it's just summer. I'm really good at trying to make myself feel better about issues, you know, like it's other things, you know, but this has been going on since at least June. So,
Yeah.
Macy, I was just gonna say, like Jake said, when we have problems, when it rains, it pours. Like,
yeah.
and then I'm kind of a sort of a proactive thorn in people's side. So like every time we would get, we usually get like 5 to 10 totes, right? And so we would go a couple, 3 delivery days where we would just get like one tote with 2 bags.
Yeah.
And so I would report it. I would say, hey, we usually get this many. Today we got 2 tote or 1 tote. And my in transit list shows, this many in transit from this date to this date. And I don't know, paper trail, I guess.
Yep.
But
Yeah. That's what
it
I've been doing
definitely
now.
it definitely seems like the hub. And then, but we have had times too when we've had delivery drivers that are like, yeah, I had to use my own car today, and this is all that I could fit in the car.
Yeah.
And so, oh gosh, what was the other thing I was gonna say? It's left me. I've got nothing. But yeah, we just always report when stuff, and eventually it'll iron out. Oh, and the one other thing too is I would say ask Mala what your delivery window is, because I know
Yes.
ours changed, and because we had problems for a while where they were showing up the second we opened the doors, and that's when most of our part-time staff show up, right? So there was no way we could feasibly have everything ready. And a lot of libraries said, well, we do it the night before, and we didn't really want to change our whole process. So we were just sending out what we could send out and then doing the pull list and all that.
Right.
But then it eventually worked its way back to where now they come at 10:30 again.
Well, and I asked that because the courier driver said we didn't have a set time. And we did have a set time before, so I don't know if something got lost in translation. But it was 10:30 before, and now they said that the new time is between 12 and 1. And I was like, well, 12 would be ideal. Before then would be great. I mean, our delivery person leaves at 3 o'clock. She gets here at 6 a.m. So just
Mala
kind of,
should have like oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Mala, I think for us, we've got like a 3 to 4 hour delivery window, and that's when it's supposed to come.
Right.
I couldn't tell off the top of my head what it is. I think it's like 9 to 2 or something. Because it used to be, we used to request that they not come until after 11, and then things changed, and then Henry came on board, and this and that and the other. But yeah, I would definitely find out that window.
Yeah. Yep,
And
I
one
will.
thing I recommend too, if you've got a consistent delivery driver, which I know some of us do not. Ask them if there's a way they can kind of change their schedule around. Sometimes they can.
Yeah, we did. We asked him if he could start coming by 12:30 at the latest, and he said he'll try. He has another job in the morning, and apparently he got in trouble at work, and he was telling our delivery person this. And then I'm like, well, I feel bad. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Like, it's been kind of dramatic. I'm like, I'm just reporting that we're having issues. I don't think it's necessarily the courier driver's issue. I mean, he's just delivering stuff, right? But I know they also deliver pharmaceuticals, and those come before the library does. That's what he told us directly. He could be wrong. He's also the one that told us that they have one sorter at the St. Louis hub right now, that everybody else has quit or been fired. And this is probably our fourth new courier driver this summer. So there's something's happening at that
Oh, yeah,
hub.
we've been lucky to have the same career driver, but he said in the mornings he has to sort what goes in his vans. So it's definitely a staffing issue
Yeah.
as well.
Well, I would say Cass County, Katrina asked for, so I sent, if your library was involved with stuff coming to Cass that was missing, I've already sent in barcodes for those, but she asked me for prices. So I have turned in all the Cass County prices. If you have things that are on those dates, you may want to start talking to Mala, give them barcodes, give them prices. I don't know if that will motivate Capital Express to find those things. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you have items that kind of fall into that time frame coming from that St. Louis hub, for sure, go ahead. I would say go ahead and send in information to Katrina about it.
Time frame?
All right. Thank you
It was
guys.
June 11th and 12th the most, but there were some like 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then I want to say 4th and 5th of June too. But you might, yeah, those were the 11th and 12th are when the majority of them were of June. So anyway. All right. Anything else that we want to talk about? All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us through the whole discussion. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Rhonda.